Here's the biggest story for today. OpenAI is trying to change how people judge AI from the inside out. In a new scorecard, the company argues that the right way to evaluate AI is not by flashy demos or raw usage numbers, but by whether it completes useful work, how much each successful task costs, how dependable the system is, and whether each AI dollar buys more work at scale. That may sound simple, but it is a meaningful shift. For a while, a lot of AI conversation has revolved around what the model can do in a demo, how many people signed up, or how much text it can generate. OpenAI's framing moves the attention somewhere more practical. Did the tool actually finish something valuable? And did it do so efficiently enough to matter? A quick note on what this is and what it is not. This is OpenAI's own argument, not an independent industry standard. We do not know yet how widely buyers will adopt these exact metrics, or whether other vendors will follow in the same way. But the direction is important. When a major AI company starts talking about useful work, completed and cost per successful task, it is signaling that the market may be entering a more disciplined phase. For creators and small businesses, that matters a lot. You usually do not get paid for using software. You get paid for the thing the software helps you finish. The proposal you send, the meeting summary you publish, the support email you answer, the ad variation you launch, the product description you clean up, the draft you turn into something client-ready. So the real question is not, did AI produce text? The real question is, did it help you finish the task faster, with acceptable quality, and with less cleanup than doing it yourself? That is why the phrase, useful work completed, matters. A model can generate a lot of words and still not help much. A successful task is one that reaches a usable result. If an AI draft saves you 10 minutes but then costs you 20 minutes of correction, the math is not as good as it first looks. If it saves you 15 minutes and the output is reliable enough to move forward with only light editing, that is a real productivity gain. The point is to measure the full workflow, not just the first draft. OpenAI also emphasized cost per successful task and whether each AI dollar buys more work at scale. That is basically a workflow economics lens. It asks, what does it cost, in money and time, to finish one good result? And if you run that workflow 10 times or 100 times, does the value hold up? That's a better question than, how many seats did we sell? Or how many tokens did we burn? Those numbers may still matter internally, but by themselves, they do not tell you whether the tool is actually useful. If you run a small team, this should sound familiar. A tool can look impressive in a demo and still fail in the day-to-day grind. A proposal draft may look good at first glance, but if your team has to fix the tone, verify the claims, adjust the structure, and rewrite the closing, then the time savings may be smaller than expected. On the other hand, a support reply draft that gives your team a solid starting point, while still requiring human review, may be enough to improve response speed without lowering quality. The difference is not abstract. It shows up in minutes saved, errors avoided, and how much human cleanup remains. That leads to the most practical way to use this story. Measure one workflow, end to end. Pick one repetitive task this week. It could be a client proposal draft, a summary of meeting notes, a batch of ad variants, or a first-pass customer email reply. Run that task through AI, but keep a mandatory human approval step before anything goes out. Then compare the total completion time against your normal process. Track how much editing was needed. Track whether the AI introduced errors, omissions, or awkward wording. And track how much of the final result still depended on human cleanup. That experiment is useful because it turns vague excitement into a measurable result. You do not need a giant implementation project. You do not need to rebuild your stack. You just need a before and after comparison on one repeatable task. If AI really helps, the numbers should show it. If it does not, that is useful too. It means the workflow may need a different tool, better prompts, better guardrails, or simply no AI at all. There are some risks to keep in view. First, a fast result is not automatically a good result. If the model produces errors that a busy person misses, speed can hide risk. Second, different jobs have different standards. A rough first draft may be fine for internal brainstorming, but not for a client-facing deliverable. Third, the scorecard itself is a vendor framing. It is helpful, but it is not a universal law. What counts as a successful task in one business may be a bad metric in another. That is why human review still matters for anything important. If the output will be sent to a client, posted publicly, used in a sales process, or relied on to make a decision, someone should check it. Before you scale any AI workflow, define what success looks like, what failure looks like, and what must always be reviewed by a person. Keep a record of the prompt, the edits, and the final version so you can see where the time actually went. There is also a broader market signal here. If this way of thinking spreads, AI buyers will increasingly ask vendors to prove that the tool saves time, improves quality, or lowers cost in a specific workflow. That would push the market away from generalized hype and toward unit economics. For small teams, that is probably a healthy direction. It rewards tools that solve real problems and makes it harder for weak tools to hide behind impressive demos. So what should you watch next? Watch for more product language about task-level value, not just model size or feature lists. Watch for procurement teams, agencies, and operations leads asking for evidence of completed work and edit load. And watch whether internal AI pilots start to look more like process measurement projects than novelty tests. If that happens, it means AI is moving from the demo stage into the management stage. My verdict is, test carefully. This is the right frame for most practical AI use, but the benefits only show up when you measure your own workflow honestly. Start small, compare against your normal process, keep a human approval step, and judge the tool by finished work, not by the first draft alone.